What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show and welcome to my 2024 Tampa Bay Buccaneers mock draft. Now, the Buccaneers this weekend take and play a very big game and could potentially be moving to the NFC Championship. However, I have a mock draft, so hey, if I'm off by a position or two, give me a little grace here, but I could not hold this in any longer. I wanted to get this mock draft out to the people. That being said, stay to the very end because while I have all the mock draft picks already on the screen, you're going to want to hear why and what my logic was and why I chose what I chose and how this mock draft can actually have the Buccaneers potentially be in an NFL elite team next year. So stay tuned. Let's jump into it though. First pick off the board is offensive guard from Washington. You all know Washington balled out. At the 26th pick is Troy Fautanu. Troy is a absolute mauler. According to Ian Valentino, this is his scouting report. He's 6'4", 312 pounds. Projected to be a guard at the next level. Troy Fautanu has excellent size for an interior blocker at 6'3", 319. So looks like they're off a little bit there. And it says here, he's a power blocker whose hands fight effectively and has a great initial strike that lands in the chest of defenders. His lack of length gets exposed at tackle. So he couldn't play tackle. So that's, I'm going to stop there for a sec. He can play tackle, which is great because if somebody goes down, he could take a fill in there. But his natural position is at guard. And it says here, shouldn't be nearly as much of an issue if he moves inside. Fautanu's not going to overwhelm anyone with his movability. So right now they have him as a late day 2 grade pick as of right now as an interior blocker. I have him going at the late first round. Get your guy. And I believe Troy is going to ball out the NFL Combine, therefore moving him to an early second round, late first round pick, which is right where the Buccaneers are at 26. Okay. Moving on, I have offensive tackle Patrick Paul, 6'7". This guy's an NBA size, but got NFL weight to him, 315 pounds. Check this out, y'all. It says here, the 2024 offensive class is stacked with first-round caliber blockers. Paul's firmly in the mix to be a top 100 pick. Paul is long, powerful frame is 6'7", 315 pounds. Takes and redirects rushers comfortably with his hands. I like that word comfortably there, okay? Now, I'm reading a scouting report here, but when you watch his tape, he controls the narrative. You ain't going to take and get one over on him. And if you do, it's rare and few and far in between. Guys like this, guys like Fautanu, they're going to take and put fear in the backfield, but also make sure that Baker Mayfield is as clean as possible. You don't want him with a bunch of marks all over his jersey. Now, because Baker Mayfield's a dog and he can create plays, we're seeing him taking persevere through some tough games where he's been knocked around a lot, right? But the depth they have in Tampa is not bad. They're making it happen. They're making it work. Much like Miami, it's not the best O-line in the world. Actually, they're in need of 3 new starters. Actually, similar to the Miami Dolphins, they're making it work with what they have. So I think Patrick Paul is a day 1 starter for me, along with Troy Fautanu. And then I went offensive lineman again. I went Drake Nugent from Michigan, one of the best centers in this year's draft. Okay, again, I think it's wise that you establish a firm offensive line. It's not this draft is not starting off as super sexy. So if you're looking for running backs, wide receivers, look, man, I got some guys I'm going to talk about in just a moment, but Drake Nugent is that guy. Then moving on, man, we got Jalen Carlisle's. I almost said Charles, but Carlisle's safety out of Missouri, 225 pounds, 6'2". What stands out to me about him is his tackles, man. He got 38 solo tackles, 64 tackles in total with those 26 assists on top of the 38, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, 2 interceptions. And what I like about him, you can drop him back in coverage because he has 4 pass deflections. Okay. May not be a big deal, but for a linebacker, that wouldn't be good numbers necessarily for a cornerback, depending on if they like to throw a lot. But for a linebacker, that's great. And then last year, he had very similar numbers. He actually had 60 solo tackles in 2022, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, 3 interceptions. Almost think, man, he probably should have went in the draft last year. But yeah, a little bit of a step back this year. But overall, man, he had an additional sack this year and a very, very solid guy. I don't feel that we've seen the ceiling with Jalen. I don't. And I think if he goes in there, he's playing with the Devin White, man, they're going to fit right in. They're going to feed off each other. Pause. And yeah, man, it's going to be dope. Then I have a quarterback. Now, I'm a Baker Mayfield fan. I'm a Baker Mayfield supporter. I want Baker Mayfield to take and do well. I want him to crush it. I want him to be successful. So no way, shape, or form am I being a hater at all whatsoever. But what I will say is that they need to take and re-sign him, but also as well get ready for the future. Because how long can Baker Mayfield play at a high level for a long time? We didn't see him for a super long time in Cleveland. He barely even had a stint in Carolina. He balled out for the Rams, which bought him an opportunity to take and play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? So I don't know. I want to see more. I want to see what this looks like when he has a better O-line. They have the ability in this year's draft with how deep it is at the O-line position to fix the O-line with no problems. Everybody benefits. Quarterback benefits. Therefore, your receivers are going to benefit because they're going to get more passes thrown to them, accurate passes thrown to them. And then, of course, your running back. They're going to crush it back there, right? So, personally, I'm a Baker Mayfield fan, but I like Joe Milton a lot. And let me tell you why I like Joe Milton and why, at worst case scenario, you have an elite backup. If Baker Mayfield gets injured, running outside the pocket or something, if he gets whacked around, you put Joe Milton the third in there. Now, Joe Milton, let's talk about it, y'all. Let's talk about it. Look, he was a starting quarterback all year for the Tennessee Volunteers. He had 2,800 yards, 20 touchdowns, just 5 interceptions. His QBR is actually really good. It's 70.4. So he's a low turnover guy who can push the ball down the freaking field. And you give him the weapons, because he had better weapons last year, I'll argue, because remember he came in for an injured Hendon Hooker. But I mean, you give him weapons, he's going to ball out. He's on ball out. And last year was great. I mean, he had 10 touchdowns. It doesn't sound like a lot, but he only played a handful of games, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, 3 or 4 games. So 10 touchdowns, that's pretty dang good. He has a 6-year college career. And until he came in for Hendon Hooker, a lot of times he was just pretty much warming the seat for him, right? So until Hendon Hooker took and went to NFL, now we got to see what does a full year Joe Milton look like. This guy coming into a 6 college career, so I'm a Joe Milton fan, and I'm excited for him. No way, shape, or form do I think he's a day 1 pick, but day 3, I would take him. I don't see him falling to UDFA because he just has too much damn upside. He has way, way, way too much upside. And then on top of that, and he occasionally gets yards with his feet. It's not a lot. I think last year against Mizzou, he had a game where he ran, let me see, he had 10 attempts for 36 yards. But then there was the Vanderbilt game, right, where he took and he had 2 touchdowns, right? He had 5 carries for 11 yards, right? So he's very smart when he runs. Almost reminds me of a Russell Wilson early in his career, not currently, early in his career when he was at Seattle, right? So he makes the plays to get the first down and pushes the ball down the field. Anywho, that's just a plan for the future. You want to have that if in the event Baker Mayfield something happens, okay? I don't know. Maybe I feel like Baker Mayfield, people love him when he's winning, but he could potentially overstay his welcome. I'm just going to leave that there. I love Baker Mayfield, Baker supporter. I hope Baker Mayfield gets like a 5-year contract and gets paid like $35 million a year. He gets a bag. That's what I'm hoping. But if not, you want to have a quarterback there. Okay. Sorry for my word vomit on Joe Milton. Just a big fan. Last pick of this draft. Joshua Cephas. Now, I live in the beautiful Alamo City, San Antonio, Texas. I love it. It's a great city, a little sleepy, but it's a great town. Josh Cephas is the number 1 receiver in UTSA history. Now, if you have not heard of UTSA, that stands for University of Texas at San Antonio. It's a Division I school. They've had a full 180 that program. They're bringing in 4-star recruits, and I think they even have a few 5-star recruits. This program is building up very nicely. Now, Josh is 6'3", 185 pounds, from Houston, Texas. This season he had 89 receptions for 1,151 yards, 12.9 average yards per catch, and he had 10 touchdowns. Dude is a beast. In last year, 2022, he had 985 yards and 6 touchdowns. In the year before that, he had 803 yards and 6 touchdowns. So this guy, he's a regular target. You see his improvement. His his first college career as a freshman, 150 yards. Sophomore year, 547. Third year, 803. Fourth year, 985. Stays another year in 1,151 yards, 10 touchdowns, and they won the bowl game over Marshall. They balled out, and he was a big part of that. Now, I went to the USF game, University of South Florida game versus UTSA. It's here in the Alamo Dome here in the city. Place was packed. It was the last home game of the season, and he balled out, man. Check this out. 9 receptions for 163 yards, 18.1 yards per catch with the 64-yard touchdown. If my memory serves me correct, I believe that 64-yard touchdown was just yak. This guy's a yak machine, and that's what I like about him. Now, they're not hurting for receivers, but we have to acknowledge they do have older receivers. So you want to have that balance between old and young. And they have Godwin is playing at a high level. Playing very high level. Both their top 2 receivers are playing at high levels. One of the receivers for the Buccaneers was an 8th or 9th consecutive year of 1,000 yards. Dude, that's Hall of Fame numbers. That's Hall of Fame numbers, man. So I'm a fan, but I think Josh Cephas would fit in very well. So you kind of want to get ready for the future as well at the same time. So I see Buccaneers, if they do it right in this year's draft, they could be amongst the best teams in the NFC and easily, who knows, maybe even be the first seed or battling for the first seed for the 2024 season. So anyway, I wish the Buccaneers best of luck. I'm filming this early in the afternoon of January 20th. So let me know your thoughts. Hit that subscribe button. I could take all the heat if need be. If you guys don't like this, I want to hear what you guys think. Also, feel free to follow me on social media at the Touchdown with Doug Smith or on Twitter at TouchdownDoug. God bless you guys. Be safe. Wash your nasty hands. I'll catch y'all next time. Thank you for watching another episode of the Touchdown with Doug Smith, where we have exclusive NFL content and exclusive NFL interviews. Be sure to hit that like and that subscribe button. Follow us on social media. See you on the next one.